What's up, Raptors fans? Welcome to the Warriors Report. It's time to talk about Delano Banton's untapped potential. I'm going to be talking about his performance against the Detroit Pistons, as well as why a lot of Raptors fans and basketball fans in general should not be surprised by this. I'm also going to touch upon Jeff Dowtin as well. So if you're ready to watch this video, guys, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Your support would be very much appreciated. We're super close to 4,000 subscribers. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, the main chatter coming into the Raptors offseason was that the Raptors need to sign a backup point guard. And this is something I had emphasized on so much during this offseason was the Raptors do not need a backup point guard, not because they don't need to rest Fred VanVleet, but because I truly believe you need to give minutes to Delano Banton and Malachi Flynn to develop. Now, obviously, the reason a lot of fans were expecting us to sign a backup point guard because they believed Delano Banton wasn't ready, or obviously Malachi Flynn was, but also because Fred VanVleet had played such heavy minutes last year, nearly 40 minutes a game, which led to injuries, and obviously that led to his play being a little bit dropping off a little bit as well due to that injury. But this is something I had to emphasize on because when you draft players, you have to allow them to develop. Delano Banton clearly can play at the G League level. We've seen that. He dominated last season, and we needed to give him some NBA reps. And we saw what he did against the Detroit Pistons. He ended the night with 27 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, shot the ball perfectly from the free throw line, which we needed it because he shot 4 of them at the end of the game when we really needed every single one of those. And he did it under high pressure, as well as 3 steals, 2 blocks. He also hit 3 3-pointers, which was huge because Delano Banton coming into this league, we knew he wasn't a shooter, and it just goes to show how much he has improved in his shooting mechanics. Nick Nurse talked about that during the post-game interview. He stated that they worked with Delano Banton, his mechanics a little bit, his shot and how he shot it. So obviously you're seeing that pay off a little bit, but I also believe the reason he's playing so well is obviously not having the starters in there, because people are going to be quick to point out, well, if he's so talented, why can't he do this off of the bench? I think first things first is Nick Nurse has to let his bench players play through their mistakes. We've seen this with Malachi Flynn. We've seen this with Delano Banton, where they play 5 minutes, they make mistakes, and they should be able to make errors and play through them. That's how young players are going to learn. And I believe the second reason why Delano Banton played as well as he was because he was starting, because Pascal wasn't there, Fred wasn't there, because Gary Trent Jr. wasn't there. And no, this is not a shade towards them, because anyone who has played basketball will tell you that when you're playing with guys that need the ball in their hands, like Pascal, like Fred, like Gary Trent Jr., you move them out of the game, you're obviously going to get more shots, but also be allowed to play your style of game, which was Delano Banton. And what we saw with him last game against the Detroit Pistons, where he was not only attacking the basket really aggressively, which was great to see, he was also shooting the ball very confidently overall. He is finding his teammates, making the right passes. Now, obviously, again, this isn't to throw shade at any of the 3 guys I mentioned, but when you're playing with Pascal Siakam, for example, Pascal and Fred need the ball in their hands. So obviously you're going to be expected to either cut or become a 3-point shooter or stand at the 3-point line, which isn't really being completely honest. Isn't Delano Banton's game, if we're being completely honest. So it was great to see Delano Banton play the way he was, aggressive, confident, attacking the basket, shooting the ball the way he did. And I really, really do hope Nick Nurse gives him a little bit of a longer leash in terms of allowing him and Malachi Flynn to make some errors and work through them, and even some of the bench guys in general. Delano Banton had himself a spectacular game, but it's also time to talk about another player who a lot of people, including myself, have been emphasizing on Nick Nurse to play this guy, and that player is Jeff Dowtin, who ended the night with 4 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block. Now, those stats may not necessarily blow you away, but the reason Jeff Dowtin was so key to the Raptors winning that game yesterday was his ability to defend. Now, it's quite amazing that Jeff Dowtin is listed at 6'3", 177 pounds. So he's 2 more pounds heavier than Malachi Flynn, 2 more inches taller than him. Yet he plays so much larger than a lot of players listed at 6'3". And I want to use this example when we talk about Jeff Dowtin. Norman Powell. When you were to compare Norman Powell, who's also listed at 6'3", compare him to someone like a Gary Trent Jr. who's listed at 6'5". Out of those 2 players, if I were to tell you who plays bigger, Norman Powell or Gary Trent Jr., you would easily say Norman Powell. So sometimes it's just the way the players play. They play so much bigger than their size. I mean, Gary Trent Jr., you would think he's 6'3" the way he plays because he just doesn't defend a certain way. But Jeff Dowtin is phenomenal for the Raptors defense because no one was able to stop Jaden Ivey yesterday. Not Scotty Barnes, not Malachi Flynn. A lot of people were getting blown by, and even OG had trouble with him, although he had that really nice block on Jaden Ivey late in that fourth quarter. But Jeff Doughton did a really good job. When you watch some of his highlights on yesterday's game, you're noticing that he's able to not only play physical with him without fouling him, he's also able to maintain his speed and quickness to keep up with Jaden Ivey. And obviously, that block at the end of the game was not only a very high IQ play because Ivy went for a reverse layup, and Jeff Doughton was not only able to block the shot, he had the sense in mind to make sure that ball stays in bounds rather than just blocking it and throwing it out of bounds. So he's a really smart player, and I really do hope Nick Nurse, again, I love Nick Nurse. This isn't a Nick Nurse slander video. I really do hope he starts playing in allowing some of these guys to play, because Jeff Doughton, not only can you play him at the point guard position, you can play him at the shooting guard position the way he plays. He plays physical, he plays smart, he plays the game the right way, which is so rare to see with a lot of NBA players. Obviously, he does have a little bit more experience in terms of playing on different NBA teams, and just overall through the years, he's had more experience in Delano Banton, and also Malachi Flynn. So I think it would benefit Nick Nurse and our bench to have someone who can come in and provide some relief for guys like Gary Trent Jr. and Fred VanVleet. Just play some quality minutes. He's not going to come in there and light the scoreboard on fire. Again, like I said, he's capable of, but he plays the game the right way. He makes the right passes. He's a solid defender, plays way bigger than his frame of 6'3", which is great to see. And I want to see Jeff Doughton a little bit more. Again, this is coming from someone who really likes Malachi Flynn. I think something that Jeff Doughton gives you a little bit more than Malachi Flynn is not only size, his defense, his physicality. It's great to see. So personally, again, great team win yesterday without 3 starters and a bench player in Precious Achiuwa as well. So again, great to see the Raptors play so well. Delano Banton was on fire. The work he's put in during the offseason, not only in FIBA, but just what he's done with his game overall is impressive to see. And I hope some of these bench guys get a little bit more minutes and a little bit of a longer leash to play through some of the errors. I thought they played well. I do want to hear from you guys. So what are your thoughts on Delano Banton, Jeff Doughton, and how amazing our bench looked last night? Make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And again, guys, I do apologize. I'm having some technical issues, so I'm not able to display pictures or text on there. It won't let me edit and crop those pictures out. My computer's, I don't know if there's a virus or something going on, but it won't let me do that. But if you do want a shout out, guys, you can just comment down below. I'll give you a shout out in my next video. So that will be it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.